Wow, y'all gotta forgive me because I'm driving, but I gotta share this thing with you that just came to me. It's very important. And it's a question, of course. Is God's grace sufficient? Is God's grace sufficient? And most of you want to give a quick answer and say, oh, what is he talking about? Of course, God's grace is sufficient. I mean, God forgives me of all of my sins, and God helps me no matter what, and he gives me his unmerited favor, and that's enough. I want you to think about something really quick. Yes, I understand what you mean when you say God's grace is sufficient. But have you ever thought about the fact that, or I'm not going to say the fact, because I don't want to put this on everybody and say that it's true for everybody. But is God's grace an excuse for your failure? Has God's grace been an excuse, or have you used God's grace as an excuse for your failure? Like, of course we know God is good and God is great and God will always bless and favor. I'm sorry about the glare, guys. I'm driving. Of course we know that. We know God is good, and we know God, grace is infinite and all that, and we know it's sufficient and all that. I get all that. But how many of us have set out to do certain things, and in the back of our minds, because we knew that God's grace was there, we just didn't give our full potential, or we didn't do our complete best? How many of us are like that? How many of us have made that mistake? I got my hand raised. I raised both of them, but I'm holding the phone with one of them. But I'm telling you, yes, God's grace is sufficient. But we got to stop using God's grace as an excuse to fail, because we can do better. All right? So thank you for stopping by again. And please remember, like, comment, subscribe. And thank you for being a part of a family that knows what they believe and why they believe it. And remember, it's okay to think. Until we meet again.
Everybody won't be on top, yeah. Whether the roof or the mountaintop, right.